slash no saves. Today we are reading part 3 of Every Night a Truck Drives Around My Apartment Complex Praying a Strange Warning. I don't even know where to begin. The events over the past few days had been enough to send my mind reeling, and I guess I'll begin by addressing the first update. Some of you might have noticed it got removed after sitting on the front page of a sub for a couple days, and that was strange to me. When I clicked on the post to check a comment, I was suddenly met with an error. Sorry, this post has been removed by the moderators of r/nosleep. I couldn't figure it out for the life of me why moderators would want to remove a post that had been on the front page for multiple days, and it just didn't make logical sense. So I asked them, sent them a message through ModMail, and asked them outright. No, they didn't. ModMail is anonymous, so I couldn't see who I was talking with, but they informed me that they asked the rest of the team and no one could figure out who or even how it was removed. They tried to reinstate it, but to no avail, and the post was dead. I tried to post it to my account page, an error. Frustrated, I installed some free VPN and tried again, and it stayed. My world vibrated and hummed with nervous energy. Was my IP blocked? Infected? I didn't know enough about internet security to make sense of specifically what this meant, but it scared the shit out of me. If nothing else, it confirmed that I was onto something that someone wanted me to shut up. And I had my suspicions as to who. Before I get to my meeting with Saul, though, I wanted to address a couple of comments. Someone suggested that I put a fishing line across the bottom of my building door to see if it was broken in the morning, and it wasn't. Just to verify my dead complex theory, I repeated on both buildings to our left and right, and all the strings remain intact to this day, and I made a habit of checking. A couple of you suggested I post the photos Maddie sent us, and the ones you even suggested I record a video of it passing by my apartment, and I will do both. That's some pictures. That's not creepy at all. Number 2. This shit's too fucking creepy, man. How could it, not be true? Gross. I know their zoom didn't blurry, but they're what I've given. And as for the video, I stayed awake until the truck came around again. And the day my post got removed, it recorded the following. Oh, God. Yeah, that's not creepy at all. It's muffled since I was obviously inside, but you can hear the warning fairly clear. I hope anyone hungry for evidence is now satiated. The morning after filming this video was my meeting with Saul. A dense fog hung low from the previous night's rain, making it hard to see the reception building clearly. It crawled, almost living, along the cracked pavement as my feet tarped across the sea of tar. Fog had become a commonplace around here, the weather always switching and never content. Cold and warm fronts met overhead with invisible plumes of dust, scattering their particles about in a thick sheet of white. A single car peeked through the cloud, presumably Saul's, and the door opened with an electrical ding as I stepped back into the 1970. No employees sat behind the sliding glass pane, though the door of the offices was propped open with a bucket of paint. No new wooden boards were stacked on one side, apparently waiting a renovation. An static riddled radio showed played from an unseen speaker somewhere in the back. Saul called out, eviscerating the curtains of calm which hung above the outdated decor. I canted my head, listening for a response. Silence. I swallowed a lump of alarm which set itself deep in my throat and shook off the sense of unease and walked through the door. I made my way across the flat gray carpet and faded eggshell walls, noticeably empty of the paintings and decorations which dotted them just a few days prior. Boxes filled the open offices and furniture sat stacked and organized in various corners. Was the place getting a complete makeover? I turned around the final stretch of the hallway and stopped in front of Saul's office. Pausing for a half instant, I walked inside. The amount of time I stood there is unknown. It could have been hours, and my body was frozen stiff. My heart started around rapidly scanning, attempting to comprehend the scene. He swayed slightly in his suit, flapping in the breeze of a small fan, and the rope connected to a light fixture was taut. It creaked with each hardly perceptible swing, and his desk was laying forward, and the contents of his drawers strewn widely about the floor. A heavy fecal scent burrowed into my nostrils as I noticed a slow drip from his shoes. I retched. Everywhere. Through my fingers which I tried a worthless desperation to contain the explosion. Black splotches clouded my vision, and my face went numb. I remembered turning to leave. In an instant, I was back face to face with a nondescript figure who looked over me. A ring lights above bore to my eyes, casting the figure in an eerie shadow. A smile of teeth stretched across its otherwise uh, indecipherable face. That's it, the figure hissed. You're okay. I was in a room no bigger than a closet. Strange tools and instruments covered the walls, and the whole place vibrated slightly with an underlining rumble whine. The figure made sudden movements, and I realized they were pulling something away from my face. I blinked hard. The fluid in the small ammonia capsule glistened in the sterile white fluorescence of the ambulance. The paramedic clicked a button and the light dimmed to a bearable level, and I slowly sat up, feeling myself for any injuries. You had quite the fall there, the paramedic said, pulling out a small flashlight and shining it into my pupils one by one. Any dizziness, cloudiness, blurry vision? I shook my head and had to get the stretcher's railing as the world pulled itself from under me. That's a yes, she stated calmly, now sliding the light into her pocket. We're taking you to Sunrise, mild concussion. Is anyone you like to call? I live here. Can you just go get my girlfriend? Can she ride with me? Sorry, no passengers, she said and banged on the wall twice, and the ambulance started up with a jolt. Box is too small. I pulled out my phone and called Lex, explained the situation, and told her not to worry about meeting me. She had gone to work the next day previously, and her boss wasn't the forgiving type. I stressed that I was fine, just a minor concussion after shooting down a couple of temps, leaving early, and hung up the phone. The paramedic spoke in short silences. You know him? She asked rather coolly. I nodded and simply said, Landlord. She shook her head. Such a selfish thing to do, especially when you leave it for someone else to find. I looked down at my feet, not wanting to discuss the ethics of suicide. I was supposed to meet with him, talk about an issue with the complex. Hopefully it wasn't a too big issue. She said awkwardly. I shook my head. Just apartment shit. Lex stayed that night in the hospital with me after she got off work, and the doctors verified I probably wouldn't randomly die. They discharged me in the morning, and we went over the details of the previous day for the 10th time on the drive home, and Lex was incredibly curious about what went down. You said everything was packed up there and paint and stuff, right? She started. I nodded and she continued. Okay, so say I own an office building that hasn't been updated in decades. Okay, you own an office building that hasn't been updated in decades. She fake laughed and continued once more. Business isn't good, but I spend what little money I have on resources to spruce up the building, and I plan on painting and repairing various floorboards, decluttering, etc. I saw where she was going with this. One too many crime podcasts. You plan out these things. You buy the resources into it, and then you kill yourself before you even start. Oh, you plan out all these things. You buy resources to do it, then you kill yourself before you even start. It doesn't make any sense, she said enthusiastically. I mulled this over as we wended our way through town, past banks and fast food chains, schools and houses. I remember the packed boxes in the office and the sheer number of them. Okay. What if they're not trying to redo anything? What if they're leaving, bailing on the whole thing, throw up some new paint, patch a couple holes, and they're good to go for the next owner? I asked as we pulled into the complex. As if understanding the question, the complex itself answered. Every vehicle was gone. Lex slowed the vehicle to crawl as we took in the empty lot. It felt like a wasteland, an abandoned project awaiting a bulldozer, and we made a loop around in awe. Not a single parking space was in use. Okay, so you're abandoning your business, Lex started as we pulled into our regular spot, now feeling exposed and unsafe. You start packing, you start getting ready for the place to be sold, and you even arrange for your creepy psycho car collection to be picked up, and you kill yourself before any of it's done? I shook my head, nodding. Nothing made any sense. I suggested to call the police, and then it hit me. Just how all perfect this looks from the outside. A lonesome guy, hardly any employees, struggling so hard to run a successful business he rented or bought vehicles to make the place look busy, finally gave in and ended it all after buying all the stuff he needed for the next owner to fix the place up. It was quite literally the perfect suicide. Open and shut before the pages could be read. We didn't sleep at home that night, needed some time away to get our heads right, so we paid for a hotel room for the week to spend the rest of our day moving our necessities. I called the U-Haul garage and reserved a truck for 2 weeks, and we are moving for good. We are done. Yesterday, I drove back to the complex to serve our lease. I didn't even know if anyone would be there. Didn't even know if the employees had a job anymore. I didn't even know if there were any real employees. To my surprise, the vehicle was parked in front of the office, one I hadn't seen before. A silver convertible Corvette threw rays of sunlight in every direction, splashing strange geometries and patterns across the asphalt and brick. I pulled in beside it and readying myself for confrontation. The sun beat down on my head with the ferocity of a solar flare. It felt as though the soles of my shoes might melt themselves to the ground. I squinted my eyes against the glare of the glass door and pushed my way inside once more. Looking around, I shivered. The place no longer seemed something out of the 70s, but like something out of a dream. Empty, unfurnished, a slight feeling that the rooms and hallways stretched over forever in a labyrinthine silence beyond the yellowed wallpaper. No noises filled the space. A shade of silence lay draped across the scene, and I almost screamed when I turned to see an older man standing behind the sliding door. "Shit! Sorry, I didn't notice you," I said sleepishly, a trickle of adrenaline dripping its way down my spine. "You knew my son?" the man said, no trace of emotion bubbling to the surface of his cool exterior. "You're Saul's dad?" said more than asked. He nodded. The day he, I stopped, unable to form the words with my tongue. "He said he wanted to tell me something. Do you have any idea what it is?" He smiled, and his lips curling around a row of perfect teeth. "What can I help you with today?" he asked, ignoring my question entirely. "I just wanted to say that we're serving our lease, and we found a new place and we just can't pass up." A lie. His smile grew and he chuckled. "You're leaving?" he stated, smile growing wide that I could have split his face. He chuckled again, laughing harder. He wasn't taking breaths, and he wheezed, now howling with laughter, and his face contorted, twisted into a despicable emotion which humans can't feel. "The lamb retreats to the far side of the pasture." A laughing inched ever closer to a scream. "As though the shepherd might not see to that side, ignorance, the mere assumption, bursts blasphemy that bubbles in the broken recesses of your mind." His voice was grasped now, a scratch, sandpaper on material. "May the worms burrow into the soft putrid tissue that constitutes the mistake that is you." I backed out of the building, hands up, and when I was back out the door I sprinted to my car. "And we shall fall to our knees in the presence of his light and the—" He continued screaming as I peeled out of the lot, continuing screaming in my head, even though I sped through the city, putting miles on asphalt between me and whatever the fuck that was. I couldn't handle this anymore. I would never look back. I'd hire movers if it meant I never had to go back to that enigma made of a brick and tar. When I got home to find Lex waiting for me, I got home to find what Lex waiting for me. I told her what happened and fell into bed feeling like a corpse. She had no idea what to make of it either. Neither of us did. We kept telling ourselves it didn't matter and that we were done, and we never had to step foot in that complex again. All of it was behind us now, shrinking into the rear view. We even started to believe it. Lex fell asleep shortly after midnight, and I was on course to join her when it happened. I lowered the volume on the television to a whisper and had just clicked off the lamp at the bedside. Near the silence was intoxicating, and it folded itself around me, enveloped my exhausted mind in a blanket of peace. Lex breathed softly, rhythmically next to me. The crickets and frogs provided the night with an underlying chorus. My brain stopped. Caution! Sobriety crashed into the shores of my mind like a rogue wave. I shot upright, my brain more awake than it ever had been. "Please remain indoors." "No, no, 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 no," I repeated, tears starting to dislodge themselves from the corners of my eyes. "Not exit your homes under any circumstances." I was crying, now shaking like awake. "Please remain calm." Bruh. That's fucked. I need more updates. Yikes. Anyways, I really hope there'll be a next one of this, but I don't know. So, I guess I will see. That's the end of this one. I hope you all enjoyed. If you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, and hit the bell so you're notified of videos daily. I love you guys, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.